move to the start of this race. In lane 1, Poland, lane 2, Hungary, lane 3, Switzerland, lane 4, Ireland, lane 5, Brazil, and lane 6, the United States of America.
We see the calm water up there at the start. Just a little popple on the water. There's a bit of breeze in the air, and the single sculls you can see there now, just with that nervous energy, moving themselves around in the boat and getting themselves ready to get into this huge semi-finals. We have a look. Sculler from Poland, Arthur Miklachewski, coming across to Hungary. Peter Galambos, been a very consistent performer this year. Lane 3 is going to be the Swiss sculler, Michael Schmidt. He's the European champion. In lane 4, one of the most colourful characters in world rowing, Paul O'Donovan. He's the reigning world champion in the single scull. Here, a little crowd go up, cheer going up from the crowd here. Brazilian sculler, Uncas Batista. And he's alongside the American sculler. And that's Nicholas Trojan. These two had a good race against each other in the heat. And they line up again against each other today, and they're going to be struggling to get into that top 3. It's going to be a tough race to make the top 3 with these semi-finals. That's the position you've got to make. And it's all about to start.
And we're away in the first semi-final here. Very quick start there from lane 3 from Michael Schmidt from Switzerland. And here comes the Irishman, Paul O'Donovan, in the middle there in the green rowing suit.
I've got to say, Sarah and Greg, you might have a view on this, but I was looking at Paul O'Donovan yesterday, and he seems to have his feet set very high in his boat. You can see there his feet poking above the sort of hull. And that compares, you see, look at Michael Schmidt, his feet are much lower down.
Do you think that it's his feet set up, or is it the gunnel of the boat that's a bit deceptive there?
I don't know, because I guess you would want to have your feet quite low down in the boat for a bit of stability. But Michael Schmidt, I saw him yesterday win his quarter-final against Chris Brune in Norway, and he looked fantastic in that race. Came down in 7:01. Paul O'Donovan sculled his semi quicker, but look at his feet up there, Greg. What would you think of that?
Yeah, so you can see the stroke coach there between his feet, and then you see his toes, poking up, and those are very high. It would suggest that I guess he's going to be sitting more on his backside, and it makes it harder for him to get onto the balls of his feet as he comes forward. So it just changes the angle of the stroke a little bit. But great to see Michael Schmidt here, just how well he's sculling. And his feet in a more conventional position, and he's getting that really strong, smooth drive.
Yeah, I think when you look at Paul O'Donovan's knees there, you can see that they are a little bit higher up, aren't they? He has got that slightly different setup, which, like you say, Greg, it sort of tips you back on. You see it a little bit when you have your knees and your feet a little higher. But, wow, great start here from Michael Schmidt. I mean, he blasted out the blocks, and then sort of through strokes 10 to 20, Paul O'Donovan kind of pushed his bow ball into the front, but a very consistent start, consistent speed for the Swiss sculler here coming through the 500-metre mark. Yeah,
1:42.97, Greg. So he's gone through quicker, about a second quicker than he went through yesterday. But just looking at those quarter splits, that Schmidt went through a couple of seconds quicker than Paul O'Donovan. So the Irishman will come back, but that's about 5 or 6 looks over his right shoulder I've seen O'Donovan make, Greg.
Yeah, that's right. Well, O'Donovan's sitting in the middle of the field. We're looking at here Galambos, the Hungarian sculler. He's a consistent performer, and he's making a good go of it over there in lane 2, along with the Polish sculler as well, who I think has made a real early claim here and is pushing hard now in this second 500. Tough bit of the race to go this early.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting dynamic that we start to see unfold here. I mean, for the Swiss sculler sitting out in front there, it's nice to have that control and that look back on the field, but he's got 3 very good scullers sitting just off his stern who are going to really start to edge back on him as they come towards the 1,000.
Miklachewski, of course, was in that lightweight men's double scull for Poland in Rio in that event with Milos Jankowski, who's here in a double with a different partner. So maybe this isn't quite so good for Miklachewski, but this is a better scull from him in the semi than I saw him in the quarter-final yesterday when he came 3rd behind the Swiss and Norwegian sculler.
Well, as you say, Miklachewski, the Polish sculler there at the top of the screen with the number 1. He's picked up World Cup gold medals in 2017, so he's an outside burner, if you like, and I think he's going to keep pressing on as the crews are coming up here now, getting to the end of the second 500, coming up towards the 1,000.
Yeah, he's definitely made a clear move here. He's probably eaten away about half a length on the early race leader, Michael Schmidt from Switzerland, as they come through the 1,000-metre mark and the halfway mark.
So we're looking at the Brazilian now. I guess that's him and his blades. The 20-year-old Brazilian LM1X Batista, of course, won that under-23 magical race in Plovdiv, the under-23 lightweight men's single sculls. What a talent for the sport. Batista, he's about 21 metres behind the lead there. That's a dangerous position to be with Paul O'Donovan and Mikulaszewski ahead of you, and of course Michael Schmidt out in front.
Yeah, and I like the move here that Paul O'Donovan's making. This is the third quarter. This is where the race really starts to get tough. And I think his experience is now just starting to show. And it looks to me like he's just starting to move, leaning back, getting his weight right through the stroke and really finishing the stroke out strongly, perhaps with those higher feet positions, allowing him to really get his weight behind the boat and move the boat through.
Yeah, you can see here a great shot from the side, how much muntu Paul O'Donovan has in his boat. You can see it really bounce down into the water, whereas the other scullers above him on screen, Mikulaszewski from Poland, and of course the Swiss sculler Michael Schmidt in lane 3. Their boats are nice and stable and they're running very smoothly, but Paul O'Donovan, look how much power, and as you say, Greg, sitting right back into his stroke, and the bow is bouncing through the water, but he's eating away this early lead. He's really, I think, starting to unleash that strength and fluidity in his stroke now in this third quarter.
Yeah, and I don't know if we've said in commentary, of course, that Paul was entered in the double originally at this event, which is the Olympic class, the lightweight men's double scull, with his brother Gary. I talked with Gary, did a interview with him on Facebook Live yesterday. Gary's here watching, but he had a virus, couldn't compete, and he thought it was best that Paul came here in the lightweight men's single sculls, in an event, of course, which he is world champion.
And we see Paul O'Donovan here. Really, it's paying off now. He's coming into this last quarter. I think he's just taking the lead, as we can see the shot that just shows side by side, neck and neck. These two, they're both looking like they should be making it through to the final now, but they want to win this semi-final.
What a great shot, eh? It just shows that competition, Sarah.
Yeah, amazing shot from overhead there. We got a really good look down, but I think even since seeing that overhead shot, we've really seen Paul O'Donovan really turn on the burners here as he's moving out to almost a length over the Swiss sculler, who, pretty brave effort from him. He had a hard and fast start.
He certainly did, and we can see the leaders here. There's a big race on for the final qualifying position as well between the Polish sculler and the Brazilian sculler. Let's not forget that as we take a look here at Paul O'Donovan controlling the race now, still moving out, still making that boat bounce. Perhaps the way we wouldn't really want to see it, perhaps making those finishes just come a little bit loose and the blades come out of the water. But the real race that we want to be looking at is between the Polish sculler and the Brazilian sculler. Both of them up at 40 strokes a minute. They're apart on the course. They're apart and they're having to raise their stroke rate and race in front of us. We can see it in real time. We can see it live, and it's a very close race, completely neck and neck. And
this is what it's about, the semi-final. It's top three. You know, let's not think about gold medals just yet. It is the all-important third position in this race into the A final. It is clear Paul O'Donovan is going to take the win, but it is the third place that we're excited about here coming into the line.
And it's Mikulaszewski, I think, at the top of the screen, who we're going to see first, who I think is just edging out Batista, the Brazilian sculler. But let's have a look and see what happens. No.
What has happened there, Greg? What
Mikulaszewski rode himself to a standstill. As I was saying, he's going to win it. He stopped sculling.
I have not seen that for many a year, with a sculler just dead with about, what, 2 strokes before the line?
2 strokes to go. He was clearly in front when he passed our camera position. He was in front. And look at the exhaustion.
That is a sensational event, and we have seen them in this lightweight men's single sculls. This is one of the most exciting events in the programme for my money, Greg. We saw Radko Hrabat leading the quarter-final yesterday. He fell in. There's Schmidt off the start, but to see Mikulaszewski at the finish, maybe we'll get a replay of that. Paul O'Donovan just not so quick off the start, a little bit in his upper body, I guess, shoulders rather than lower down. Maybe that's something he's trying to work on. You see Schmidt flying early on there.
Well, he went flying, and of course the Polish sculler Mikulaszewski went flying as well and got himself out, and perhaps he just had to pay for that early pace in the last 10 meters of the race. But it didn't look like he had an issue.